2020. Are we there yet? Yes, we are. Hey guys, how's it going? Happy New Year again. I know I put out a video last week, but that was more of a show review, and this will be my 2019 look back, year in review, whatever you want to call it. So yeah, how's everybody's New Year thus far? For me, not bad. So far, so good. As it goes. So where do we start? Okay, before we jumped into the new year, I did go to a show on Friday. Me and my friend Angela went and saw Rebel Queens. Now, if you have not seen Rebel Queens, why haven't you? If you haven't seen Rebel Queens and don't have the CP, why don't you? I don't know if they sell it online anywhere, but if you go to a show, they have them along with t-shirts and a bunch of other stuff. So just go see them, because they're awesome, and you should. And you'll see, if you go, when you go, you will see something about like this.
Neil Peart.
So yeah, but they're fun. They always draw a good crowd, draw a fun crowd. You never know the people that you run in there. I was coming back from the restroom and I ran into, well, Kelly, the guitar player, was talking to this guy named Dave, who I met when I was still in Off-Duty Astronauts, because he used to come to a lot of the Nyson shows. So that's how I knew him. So Kelly was talking to him, so we stopped and chatted and blah, 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 and that was just kind of weird. So, 2019, what did it look like? Well, the year started in an interesting way for me. The Medis, which are the Minnesota Music Scene Medal Awards, I don't know the official title, but the nominations for the 2019 Medis came out. I'm not sure, late December, early January, somewhere in there, and turned out I was actually up for an award, which surprised the heck out of me. And I think I said at the time, I was both grateful and humbled. It was for Fan of the Year, and the other nominees in that category were, they were all people I know names of, and two of the other ones I actually know, like have met and talked to and whatnot. The two I don't really know are Bubba Carlson and Jeff Robinick. I know both those names. I'm sure I've seen them at shows somewhere. I've just never been formally introduced. Then there's Aaron Phillips, aka Sasquatch, who I've talked to on a number of occasions. And then Dan Klein, who actually won, who deservedly so, because the dude is just a monster. Mosher Dan, if you know Mosher Dan, that's Dan Klein. And so he actually won Fan of the Year, which is awesome. But again, just to be nominated, just to be recognized by whoever that committee is, and know that my name's out there enough that people kind of know who I am in the scene is really cool, and really, whatever that is, it's just awesome. It's just very cool. But I could not even attend the ceremony last year, because on the date that it occurred, which is January 19th, I was playing with Outlaw Saint and Strike 13 at the Terminal. So there you go. But yeah, January, this time last year, January was kind of a busy month. I played 4 shows, 2 Off-Duty Astronaut shows. We made our debut at the Doghouse in Maplewood on the 4th. And then Rogue Orbit. Remember Rogue Orbit? Kind of, sort of, maybe not really. The acoustic offshoot that Pam and Rob and myself did offshoot off of Off-Duty Astronauts. Did a couple of acoustic shows. Just a handful. A couple at Finnegan's. We did a couple at Nyson's on Tuesday nights, their acoustic Tuesday nights. And we did one at the Driftwood and one at Acadia, I believe. So, Rogue River did a show on the 8th, and then Saint and Strike did the 19th at Terminal, and then the next week, the 26th, ODA was back at Nyson's and Savage. Other than that, yeah, January pretty standard, I think. I remember, and that was a year ago. That was a year. February. Now, as far as shows that I attended, I only have a few of those written down. So I honestly don't remember probably most of those. I mean, I'm sure I went to shows in January and February and March, but I just don't freaking remember any of them. Which is sad. Old age, you know. What do you do? But in February, just 2 shows that I played, both ODA after the Astronauts gigs, our debut at Shakopee Bowl on the 2nd, and then our normal monthly Nyson show on the 23rd. And of course the day before, the 22nd, my 45th birthday. So there we go. March looks to be rather light. Just one show. March 2019, one show. And that would be ODA's normal Nyson's gig on the 29th. And I'm sure I did other stuff during March. I just didn't write it down, so I don't remember it. But yeah. I named April now. April gets a little bit interesting. 2 shows played, both ODA shows, Shakopee Bowl on the 6th and Nyson's on the 27th. But April apparently is when I started doing the interviews that I did on the couch right over there, which I did 5, 6, 7, something like that. Let's see. Yeah, I think 6. I think I did 6. But the first one of those happened in April of last year, and that was our good friend Dominic, and that was on the 3rd. And then Tony Lent on the 13th. And I don't have the rest of them written down, but they all occurred, I'm sure, somewhere in the next couple months after that. Yeah, in a couple months after that, I'm sure, is when the rest of them occurred. Well, yeah, well, probably in the next few weeks after that, I would say. Because ODA, or Outlaw Saints CD release show was the 24th of May at Club Underground, and I know the interview I did with Tank was put out the week before that, or the Sunday before that. I think, I'm trying to think if he was the last one that I did or not. I do not remember. But anyway, I did 6 total. Dominic and Tony and Colin, he's in Tiger Blue, and in what's the other, you know, that other band with the thing and the god damn it. This is why I need to write down notes. Thankfully, I have a wall full of shit, and I'm sure one of these has that other band. Heel. That's the name of the band. Colin, the drummer for Heel and Tiger Blue. Sean, the drummer for Omega Sequence and now Echoes of the Fallen. Aaron, Sasquatch. And was there one more? Is that 6? And then Tank. I think that might have been. Anyway, So yeah, April starting to dip my toe into the water of interviewing, which I will be doing a lot more of this year, and we'll talk about that later. Also, April 20th, I believe, made it up to St. Cloud. I think for the first time. Like, St. Cloud is one of those towns I probably have been through at some point, but I don't think I've ever spent any time there. But that was for Granite City, the Granite City Music Fest, up at the Red Carpet. Natalie Quirk and Midwest Meadow Promotions putting that together. So me and Mr. James Schmidt went up there and went to the show and hung out and did all that stuff, which is very cool, and met some people and did some things, and, all that fun stuff. But yeah, definitely want to return to St. Cloud at some point. I'm sure I will. Oh, good. It's a fun town. Then going into May. We have a couple of All Saint shows. The open jam that we did on the 22nd, May 22nd, introducing our then new lineup, which we don't have anymore. And then, of course, the 24th, the CD release party, which was supposed to be at Lee's Liquor Lounge. Unfortunately, there were some issues with construction of the light rail, leading Lee's to basically close at this point. And that was fun because I had the date already booked and everything at Lee's when I got a phone call from their manager, whose name escapes me now. I apologize. Just telling me, hey, venue's being shut down, you better give me a call. And I did, and he explained everything, and that kind of sucked. But good thing we could get into Club Underground for that show. So yeah, so we did that. Had the CD release party. I would show you my copy of that CD, but I don't know where it went off to. I don't know if I borrowed it to someone or what, but I will have to give me one of those. So yeah, that was fun. We played the entire album in its entirety. If you know that album, then you know that it is a rock opera. And so we played the entire album, played all the skits that we had recorded, and played everything in order, and did the story and all that. And quick side note, the two other bands that were on that bill, Thick as Thieves closed out the night, and the Rebel Queens actually opened. And if you listen to the album, there are two female parts on the spoken word kind of skits, and the two females providing the voices were Tiffany and Katie from the Rebel Queens. And I think in Tank's Head, originally we were going to have them on stage with us, performing, doing their bits, but that didn't quite work out, which is fine. Anyway, yeah, so we got through that, and it was a good time. It was a very good time. As you do, I don't know. So The week after that, on the 31st, was my and Rob's and Dave's and Doug's last show with Off-Duty Astronauts. And that was a whole thing, a whole situation. But again, I mean, everybody's cool. There's no love lost or anything. We're all good. It was just one of those things that just kind of, you guys know you're in bands. Things kind of don't work out sometimes. And you got to move on and whatnot. So that's what happened there. But it is all good. We're all still friends. We're all still, hunky-dory. But that was just kind of weird. But anyway, moving on. Oh, Jude. Oh, excuse me. Oh. Jude. June, kind of slow, just 2 shows. The first of Strike's summer shows, and if you went to one of these, you will know that they're summer shows because we were wearing Hawaiian shirts. That's how we differentiate summer shows from regular shows. So in one weekend, the 21st and 22nd, played with Strike at the Red Sea on the 13th, and then played with La Saint at Club Underground on the 22nd. So yeah, I mean that was pretty much all for June. June wasn't. I mean, this summer in general, Strike kind of went into hiatus, not intentionally, but that just kind of, life and work and everything as it goes. So that's how that kind of worked out. La Saint was also going through some stuff. We had trying to get a guitar player, and looked like we were still doing about 1 show a month, give or take. But that's all good. As we move into July, just one La Saint show at Midway on the 20th. And again, you can go in the back catalog and look. I did full reports on all of these, I'm sure. I just don't remember. August, I did not play a single show. Again, I probably went to a few, but I did not play a single one. The one thing we were supposed to do, La Saint was supposed to do a spot on Ritual Madness podcast, Greg Chilton's podcast. But he had a lot of family shit go down, and he just kind of needed some time to absorb all that, and kind of walked away from everything for a little bit. Which again is fine, because you need to do that sometimes, and nobody was yelling at him or anything. I mean, come on. Let the guy be, and he can do what he does, and there you go. So we were supposed to do that on the 16th. That did not occur. Sometime after that, I don't remember when, maybe in September. Do I have it written down? I do not have it written down. I think sometime in September, I believe, is when Greg kind of came back and wanted to do more smaller, one-on-one interviews, as opposed to dragging an entire band down to a studio and doing all that. And I was, one of the first kind of few people we thought of for doing this. And so, again, I think it was sometime in September. I don't remember exactly. maybe October, that he came to my apartment and had his little mobile rig, and we just kind of sat and chatted for like, I don't know, hour and a half, 2 hours, something like that. And it was really cool. It was really, really cool. Found out a couple of things from him during that interview. One of them being that, which I didn't know, because I know Greg, I like Greg. We've never had a lot of like long drawn out conversations. I mean, we've always been friendly and whatnot, but what I didn't know was that I'm one of a handful of people that when Greg was doing shows, especially at Lee's, if he saw, I think he was saying it was only like 3 or 4 people, something like that, that if he saw one of those 3 or 4 people, myself included, it was kind of like a weight off his shoulders. Like he's like, okay, they're here, it's going to be a good show. And he always looked for us, which I did not know. But that's, I mean, again, when people recognize you in a good way and are like, oh, he's here, that's awesome. That's, what can you say? I don't know. I'm still getting kind of used to the whole recognition thing. But I guess last year was kind of my first year of that, where I just walk into a show or something and have all these people recognize me and say hi to me, and I'd know maybe half of them. Another quarter I probably have seen on Facebook, like maybe I'm Facebook friends with them, but I've never spoken to them. And then probably another 15% or whatever, I just don't know. I mean, it's like, maybe I know you, I don't know. Sure, yeah. But they all seem to know me. So I guess that was my main kind of thing last year, was just kind of dealing with that somewhat seemingly sudden kind of notoriety and all that stuff. Not that I'm complaining at all, because because of what I do in the supporting of the scene and the sharing and doing these videos and whatnot, that's going to happen. That's just going to happen. Can't avoid that. But it's still a weird adjustment, though. Anyway, September, it doesn't look like I played any shows either, which is weird, because I thought at least Satan would have a show, but I guess we didn't. I did. Okay, so I went to 2 shows in September, it looks like, on the 27th and 28th. 27th at the Terminal. What can I say about the Terminal that people haven't already? Again, I'm on the side that I like that bar. I know there's a huge contingent of people that don't like that bar. I happen to be on the other side of that. Whatever problems they have, they've always been good to me and the bands that I played with, so I have nothing against them. Anyway, they kind of went quiet for a while and then came back in kind of a big way, or it was like every couple days you'd see more shows being booked there. And one of them was with my buddies Night of Joy, who, again, if you haven't heard or seen or experienced Night of Joy, just go do it. They're awesome. But they were playing a show at the Terminal with a couple other bands, and talking to them and talking to those other bands, it's getting to the point where the Terminal's just booking a lot of bands that have never played there before, which is probably good, given the reputation that seems to be spreading about them. So to get fresh blood in there would be, a good thing. But yeah, I mean, it sounded good. I mean, it's a fucking Terminal. It is what it is. And it sounds good, and they're improving. They got a new board, a new mixing board. I don't know. I mean, I would assume they've replaced some of the mics and some of the cables. There's talk of replacing the PA speakers at some point. So, you know, they're putting in effort. They're definitely putting in effort, and I can't fault them for that. And again, as I said, the terminal's a place I will play, you know, any day of the week. It's just, you know. But again, I know a lot of people don't feel that way. Okay, moving on. The next day, on the 28th, right, 28th, I saw that my old friends because I only know one of them technically, well, two of them, in Off-Duty Astronauts were playing at the Twin Cities Grilled Cheese Festival. So, went down there, me and my friend Angela went down there, and ate some grilled cheese and drank some beer and listened to some music and hung out with Pam a little bit and talked with her. And yeah, I mean, I think I said on the video I did for that, it was good to see them. It was, you know, good to see that they're still doing what they do. But, you know, they sound like every other cover band now, which is kind of a shame, because I thought that what we had, you know, me and Rob and Dave and Doug and Pam had was, you know, I'm not going to say special, I'm not going to say revolutionary, because we weren't doing anything different, but it was different. It felt different. It sounded different. You know, I don't know. Okay, now we get into October. October is when I start to get a little bit busy. Because at some point in probably late September, early October is when Natalie Quirk tagged me and asked me if I wanted to start doing band interviews for Midwest Metal Promotions. And I was like, yeah, of course. I mean, I'm you know, kind of did that for a little bit anyway, and I like talking to people, talking to musicians at least. And it's like, yeah, I can do that. And October is when I really started that. And as we go, we'll see how that goes. The first Friday and Saturday, what was that, 4th and 5th? 4th and 5th, had two shows. First one was with Strike. That was, excuse me. That was kind of a Halloween-y show. I think. No, that wasn't a Halloween show. That was just a normal show, even though it was in October. But that was at Midway with Zipper Merge, and there was another band, but I don't remember who. That was a fun show, because Strike shows are always fun shows. Then the next day was our show at Cadence. So it must have been after that Greg, that I had my podcast with Greg. And it must have been sometime probably that following week, because I remember talking about the Cadence show. Outlaw Saint played at Cadence, Cadence Records and Coffee and Records and Coffee, in St. Paul, a place I played a couple times now. Always interesting because it's a record store, and not a very big record store that has like a room in the back with a stage and stuff. It's an odd setup, but you know, it's for what it is. It's a good little room. I don't think they should be having, you know, rock bands or punk bands there, you know, but who am I to say? You know, if they pick what they want. But yeah, I mean, and the circumstance on that show was just everything was running a little bit late, and then a little bit late, and then by the time we were supposed to be on stage, the band before us was still playing or just getting off or whatever. So we wound up only having a 13-minute set at the end of the night. But you know, what do you do? These things happen. And yeah, and that was Saint's only show for October. Strike had one more, and we'll get to that. So second week must have been at some point when I talked to Greg, and then starting the 15th. That's okay. So that's when my first official interview for MMP, and that was with Plague of Stars. I bet I'd seen it a couple times before, and kind of know some of the members at least. I mean, I wound up interviewing Will and Aaron and what's their singer's name? Starts with an M. I know it starts with an M. I have to edit this. Hate that. Melissa, that's her name. Okay. And I've seen a couple of times before, and I know them kinda. I mean, I know Will fairly well, and Aaron, the drummer, I've talked to a few times, and then I also interviewed Melissa, their singer. So it was the three of them. And that went fairly well, except for the first about 5 minutes or so, I forgot to turn the mics on the camera. So there was no audio. There was lots of video, but there was no audio. And I had to rectify that and start over and blah, 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 which is always fun. Always fun. That Friday, so 3 nights later, I was on a Tuesday. 3 nights later, I'm at Club Underground, and I'm going to interview Anger Incarnate, this band from Iowa, and set the thing and do the interview, and I think it goes really well. Got a lot of good stuff, but me just wanting to double check to make sure that I got everything. Using the cameras that I'm not familiar with, because I didn't take the time to actually learn how to use them because I am smart, wound up accidentally deleting the entire interview, which had sound and video and everything. Just wiped it out, just absolutely deleted it. So of course had to call those guys or message those guys and message Natalie and say, hey, did this, you know, because I'm an idiot, and you know, have to do it over at some point. And then I tried to figure out how to do like a Skype interview, and that didn't work out. And you know, through Facebook or something, I don't know. It just seemed like too much work. Seemed like a lot of work. But I mean, just recently they contacted me when I put out a post about starting to do the one-on-one interviews again, and they were like, yeah, we'd be done. And I'm like, yes, I know, I owe you guys anyway because of what happened, and you know, next time you're in town, just let me know and we'll get together and we'll do it, because you know, I feel bad. I just don't learn. You don't learn. So yeah. So, and you don't learn because the following Friday, on the 25th, I was at the terminal and I actually got 3 interviews. Interviewed each band, got By the Masses and Stormbreaker and Digital Homicide. interview By the Masses first, and same thing occurred. Forgot to turn the mics on for the first few minutes. That was fun. Rectified that, and for the other two, everything is everything is fine and kosher. So, yeah, so the Stormbreaker interview, which is the one I think I put out last month. I think I put it out in or did I put that one out first? I may have put that one out first. And then the By the Masses last month. And then this month I'll be putting out the Digital Homicide interview. And then that'll be it from that show. Because, yeah, I'm getting there. I think I have a system now. I think as long as everything works the way I think it's going to work, I think I have a much better system to do those than I did before. Okay, we're almost through. We can power through. So then the next night, the 26th, Strike played again at the Red Sea with Karma Sutra and again a couple other bands. Memory gone. And that was the first of our Halloweens, because we did two kind of Halloweeny shows. On the 26th, and then on November 1st we were at Midway, or at the Terminal. And those were both kind of Halloween shows. So yeah, I was supposed to interview Karma Sutra that night, but it just wound up not working out. Red Sea is very dark. It's don't have a lot of light in the bar, so couldn't really find a spot. And I don't know, it just timing wise, it just didn't work out. But the show itself was fairly good. It was a good time. It was fun. And then the next night, that Sunday, I was supposed to go to the Amsterdam and interview a band that I didn't know. And I had to contact Natalie at that, sometime Sunday early afternoon, just kind of say, I'm sorry, but I'm just wiped and I don't think I can make it up to Amsterdam and blah, blah, blah. And she's like, oh yeah, don't worry about it. Do what you can, because, I'm one of those people that if I say I'm going to do something, I like to do it. But sometimes, you can't. And that really comes into play in November. So yeah, Strike, the November 1st, we're at the Terminal. And that was that show with Fiend Collective and those guys. And then, after that, I basically took the next 3 weeks off. There were two shows the following weekend, Friday and Saturday, that I was going to go to and do some interviews and whatnot, and I just couldn't. I was just burnt out, and sometimes you got to listen to your body, and sometimes your body says no, you're staying home. So that's what I did. Pretty much for the next 3 weeks. So yeah, not a lot in November. I did manage to make it out to Drum Set Karaoke on the 24th, which was fun. I didn't get up and play, but I did hang out for a little bit, kind of saw the format and kind of saw what was going on. So at some point later, if I wanted to participate, I would know what was going on. Yeah, so that was fun. Edit this out. And the only thing that kind of bummed me out about missing those shows is that I would have been interviewing Blackbird Bridge and Synopsis and Trida, which I should be able to interview in the next couple months. But still, that was kind of a bummer. Yeah, and Drums Karaoke was fun, and then had Thanksgiving. Then we're into December. And then December, Strike carried on our tradition of the Hooligans Holiday Christmas shows. We did 3 of them this year. Starting out Friday the 6th, we were at the Whiskey. And I don't remember all the lineups for all of them. I apologize. Heavy End was on 2 of them. They were on the first one and the last one. So thinking Heavy End, it was us, it was Saboteurs. I think there was a 4th band. I don't remember who the 4th band was. That one was fun. The next week on the 14th, we're at the Terminal with I mean, we weren't, that wasn't one of our shows. That was one that we just kind of tagged along with. So that was us, Forever and Grey, Prairie Fire, and Donnie Darko. And then the last one was Heavy End, and the following week on the 21st at Midway, and that was Heavy End again. Not Vinyl Cleaner, Zipper Merge. Oh my God, Zipper Merge, and then Strike, and then Outlaw Saint to close it up. And that was the last show of the year. So that was a very brief kind of recap of 2019 as far as what I did as far as playing is concerned. I mean, I attended a bunch of shows. I know I did. I just didn't write them down. One of them was, of course, the X4-C CD release show, which I don't remember when that was. It was sometime during the summer, I believe. And I mean, X4-C is a band I've talked about several times. I think they're absolutely awesome. In the sense that they're bringing back kind of this old school thrash kind of thing, which is very cool. And it's also very cool that on this album I got a shout out. Let's see if we can find it. They spelled my name wrong, but that's okay. Focus. You're not going to focus on me. Fuck. No, that's not going to focus. Anyway, I got a shout out on the album, which I thought was very, very cool. And that was at Part Wolf formerly Nomad World Pub. They've reopened it as Part Wolf. Not a great name, but it's still a great freaking venue, and considering venues seem to be closing left and right. Of course, we lost Lee's last year, which was a huge blow. Absolutely huge blow. But, you know, again, what do you do? Circumstances and all that. Yeah, what else? I gotta say, I mean, because I've continued my merch acquisitions. It's a fancy way of saying I like to buy shit. I'm now up to, Jesus, 120, 130 t-shirts, somewhere in there, local and regional. I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 or 7 hoodies, dozen ski caps, a couple of ball caps. Just different stuff, you know. For example, one of my favorite things that I got this year, Toy Planes. Unfortunately, a band that broke up that I only saw once, but they, with Dave Locke, put out a pint glass, which I thought was very cool. I use it all the time. Yeah, so yeah, I will buy band merch like a bandit. Yeah, and CDs, of course. I mean, obviously. And yeah, I mean, really. And then with the whole online thing, that just causes problems because it's just so easy. And then you order a bunch of shit, and then you forget what you buy, and then shit just shows up. I mean, the only two things I'm waiting for at this point, and one of them I should be getting hopefully in the next week or so, and that's the Casket Robbery hoodie that I pre-ordered. And then the other thing I believe is being released in either March or May. It was one of the M months, and that's the new Gorgatron album. And I got the package deal with that too. But yeah, I mean, outside of that, it's just going to shows and seeing what's around and all that fun stuff. Recommendations for the year. I don't know. I mean, I discovered a lot of new bands that I really like Trida, for example. They're just good. I mean, it's just heavy and light and atmospheric, and it's just good. X-Vortices always the Omega Sequence album that came out last year was pretty darn good. I mean, so much. This scene is so fertile and so just incredibly good. It was quite a year. So yeah, that's about all I got. We will continue this. We'll talk later, I'm sure. I have to go and probably send some messages out about some interviews. See if I can get more stuff set up. Yeah. So, New Year. Better? Maybe. Who knows? So, anyway. That's all I got. be cool, don't be a dick, and support all of your locals. I'll see you guys.